Hello and welcome to the Overland Journal Podcast. I am your host, Scott Brady, and I'm driving across the deserts of Namibia here today with my good friend, Richard Giordano. So, Richard, welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's a perfect mobile podcast studio, if you ask me.
It's super quiet. We are climate controlled. I even have my air-conditioned seats going right now.
Yep, I do as well. I had my heated seats on for a while with the air conditioning on full, so nice comfort for the back. But
I am feeling a little sick. We have decided that most of us on the trip have contracted the Zema virus.
Oh.
So
I didn't know that's what it was.
I think you are patient zero.
I was patient zero. I'm feeling great. So sorry about the sickness. Everybody else is now sick.
Well, the one thing that gives me confidence, though, is the fact that since you are patient zero, I can't reinfect you because you now have all the pathogens under control.
Yeah. And if I do get sick, I'll just get more of those. So I'll be stronger.
Exactly. You'll be superhuman by the time you get back to Canada.
And then I'll get some sort of Canadian flu.
That's right.
Head on over to expeditionportal.com or our YouTube page and join us along with Hankook Dynapro Tire at the Off-Road Expo in sunny Costa Mesa, California. It was a great family event that showcased everything from jumping rally trucks to Jeeps, pickups, and expedition builds.
Exactly. So we have had, of course, Ashley, your amazing wife, is one of the co-hosts of the podcast. And so she's very familiar to the audience. And then we've done a couple podcasts with you and Ashley, but we've never had just a Richard podcast, which I'm super excited to do because you and I get to get into the weeds and all the fun technical stuff.
Yeah.
But I'd like to fill out a little bit of your history. So let's talk about where did you grow up? What first got you interested in travel? And what's some of your background that, because I know you've got some engineering background. Let's talk a little bit about your past and what kind of set you up uniquely to be one of the most experienced overlanders in the world.
All right. Top 10,000 most experienced overlanders in the world. So I grew up in a little town called Powell River, BC. So on the west coast of British Columbia. Town of 12 or 15,000 people. That's landlocked. You need a ferry to get in. You need a ferry to get out.
That's cool. I like that.
I think maybe that was part of the reason I wanted to travel is after growing up 17 years, we left, but essentially being stuck there for 17 years, the need to travel was quite high. And so I immediately, after graduating high school, went to Camosun College and did a mechanical engineering diploma. It kind of suited I liked math, I liked sciences, all the rest of it, and I was reasonably good at them. So engineering was the path. At that point, I had already, tinkered on cars for years with my dad in the garage. So I liked the mechanical aspect of it. And so that led into mechanical engineering. Yeah, it wasn't long after that where I met Ashley, and we lived downtown Vancouver, and at some point we thought, hey, we should travel. We're probably early 20s. And she said, there are cheap flights to Japan. Why don't we go to Japan? I said, okay, let's go to Japan. What a neat
place to go to.
Yeah, $500 round trip flight to Narita from Vancouver. So that was the very first place we ever traveled. And of course, Ashley, once again, always being right, she said, why don't we buy a nice camera for this trip? And I was like, I don't know. I was kind of into photography when I was in high school, but really hadn't done much of it since. Like, I don't want to spend $500 on a camera. It's too expensive. And then she essentially forced me to do it. And that led us into years and years of travel and a career in photography for me. So, listen to your wife. She's probably right.
Almost always.
Almost always.
Right 100% of the time, 90% of the time.
Exactly.
Well, that's cool. And you guys have, in my experience with working with both of you, because you have done many articles for Overland Journal, and of course, Ashley is almost full-time with Overland Journal and Expedition Portal. So we've been able to work with you guys professionally throughout the years, and you guys have, I think, struck a unique balance of being industry professionals as opposed to influencers. I mean, there's no question that you guys have large channels and people follow your travels and they're excited to to come along on the journey with you.
Yeah.
But professionally, you guys focus on being some of the best in the world at your craft. So, like Ashley is, in my experience, she's one of the finest editors that we have in all of overlanding, and then you're one of the best cinematographers that we have in the industry. So you guys have created like genuine jobs within the space that allows you to make enough money to actually travel, as opposed to an influencer that's desperately trying to get stuff for free or racking up a credit card or living off the proceeds of a home sale or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that goes on. And even more so recently, the influencer economy has essentially collapsed. But because you guys are professionals in the space, you've been able to, even now,
Yeah.
both of you are actively working as professionals in overlanding.
Yeah, and some of that is skill and some of that is luck. And so we'll step back a little bit. So when I was working as a mechanical engineer and Ashley was working as a paralegal, we did that for about a decade and decided to do our Pan American trip. Very last minute, scrounged together our old 1990 Toyota pickup, threw a rooftop tent on it, and then traveled for essentially 18 months down the Pan American Highway. We didn't know anything. We didn't really have much money. And we just learned a lot about ourselves and about cultures along the way. And it was the best thing we ever did with our lives, period. And then we came back 2014, 15, and both of us thought the best thing to do was go back to our old professional jobs and be adults.
Yeah, sure.
I think we were around 30 at the time, maybe. And we both went back to our old jobs, but within, I don't know, I think it was within 6 months for me, I was working for an HVAC company that was working on very high-end, large homes, like 12,000, 14,000 square foot homes. And after seeing a lot of the world that doesn't necessarily have that sort of that wealth, I grew tired of that very quickly. When people were complaining, when clients were complaining about their towel warmers not heating their towels fast enough,
Yeah, sure.
I grew weary of
Yeah.
the industry. And I made a deal with myself. I said that if I could get one project, one film project, or one photography project that would cover a few months of work, I'll quit my old job and start a new career path. And that led into a project with Kanguro Racing, with Toyota Canada, and with a good friend of mine who's a cinematographer. And we went and filmed a 12-minute film on the Baja 1000. And that set me off on a totally different career of, cinematography and photography.
And so cool that, Ashley's skills are complementary in that she does a lot of the editorial and you support her with photography. But, and up until very recently with Overland acquiring Overland Journal and Expedition Portal, you had two of the bigger clients in the industry.
Yep.
So you had some diversification there
for
a while.
And most of so I would say 80% of my work was done with Expedition Overland. So generally on the big trips, and for a few years as social media manager. And then 90% of Ashley's work was all on Expedition Portal and Overland Journal. So and then we overlapped a little bit. Now the entire thing is complete, all within the Overland Collective. But we've been very fortunate to work with like all of these, like with you, with Clay, with Rochelle, with all these people who are highly respected in the industry, and we learned a lot. And because we were so fortunate and really appreciated the opportunities, we worked harder, and we were able to we were able to build it over at least the last 10 years so that we could actually do all of this work while traveling, while on the road. And to be fair, I think do a better job because we're on the road, because we're actually overlanding, and because we have those experiences.
Well, for us, it's critical. I mean, Overland International requires anybody who's going to write about a subject has to have a deep well of knowledge on it.
Yeah.
So that, because our customer is our reader. So it needs to have a person like yourself or like Ashley that has been living it for decades now.
Yep. Yeah, it helps. It helps a lot, and it's nice that, like, for Ash, she can write about it with confidence because we're doing it every single day. It's not she doesn't have to research something from abroad and then, hope or interview other people and so on. She still does that to round out stories, but for her to have the confidence in what she's doing because we're there, and then I just have to follow it up and round it out with photos is, I don't know, it's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, you guys both look at it through the right lens. But one of the things that I want to compliment both of you on, and I think it's important for the listener to consider, is you also need to understand what your boundaries are in whatever career that you're in. Otherwise, like I know from my own failings, I just became a workaholic because I took on every opportunity, and that resulted in me not having any time left at the end of the day. Whereas you guys have done a really good job of saying, this is what we do, but we don't do this.
Yeah.
We'll work as hard as we can for you, but we're going to travel and see the world, because it would have been very easy for us to load you guys up with so much work that either you were on a commercial project or you were working from home in Canada.
Yeah.
60 hours a week. You were right back in the same boat. But you guys have decided to say, we'll give you 100% of us when we're available, but otherwise we're going to go see the world. And you've been able to do that because you had those boundaries in place.
Yeah. Saying no is pretty powerful, and but then we do a better job when we say yes.
Yeah.
I think is the best thing.
Well, and we've learned that about you. Like Tina knows that about you guys, and I know that about you, and Clay and Rochelle know that about you. The industry now understands that, like, it's part of who you guys are, is to be out doing the thing in the world, which means that we get a little bit less of your time, but what we do get is really high quality.
Yeah.
So.
You've had a lot of my time in the last 2 months down this west coast of Africa.
Not only are we traveling together, we're tent mates.
Yep.
Which probably explains the reason why I have the Zema virus right now.
Sorry about that again.
But it's been really cool to spend time with you and see, how the level that you operate, not only as a cinematographer but also as a photographer. How do you like, that's very difficult to do. How do you balance the need to take still photos with the cinematography requirements of video?
It's an interesting
Any
one.
tricks that you've learned?
Yeah, I feel like over the last 5 or 6 years, slowly like honing in on the right percentage, but it depends. It changes every day, because the main reason we're here, like the Expedition Overland, the main focus for Clay as a director is the film. And then a lot of the time, the partners, they love the film and they love the story, but they love the assets they can use. They love the photos.
Yeah.
So I need to make sure that I can shoot enough photos to tell a story while also filming enough to tell that same story. And thankfully, with Peter Van Stralen here,
it does help to have another shooter.
He films, like, generally he's filming wide angle, A-cam, everything that's happening, and then I like to film all the details with a B-cam.
So you're sniping a lot with a longer lens.
Exactly. So I can step away at times and pull up the stills camera and shoot, or once we're done filming, I can get some time in there to shoot some photos, unless it's super important, because all the partners have specific requirements. And I'll just have a conversation with Clay ahead of time, or with Peter ahead of time, saying, I cannot pick up a camera to film because I need to be shooting stills of this.
Sure.
And confirm that it is important to the team. If it is, I shoot. So like lots of communication between everybody is the main thing.
And it seems like your stills kit is pretty pared down. Like, it's very much a travel photographer's kit.
It's basic.
What are you?
So I've been shooting Canon for a long time, so I just have a Canon R5 and R6 Mark II. shoot with a 35 mil 1.4 and a 7200R 2.8. So like that dumb lens, that 7200 2.8 IS $4,000 Canadian lens is like
That's the money maker.
It is. And then my 35 mil, old 35 mil lens is, I've had it for 10 years, but it's kind of magic, kind of a nice street photography lens.
Yeah.
So I just have those two things. I try not to switch lenses too much because they're always like in dusty, dirty environments or the rain or whatever. So.
And do you bring a backup body, or you just
those two? Those two are what I go with. And if I need another one, we have a couple Sony.
Yeah, we do.
Sony bodies if needed,
Yeah,
and we have been in plenty of cities where I can always grab another camera body if I really need. But yeah, so I think that's the thing, is just constantly, like daily, looking at our priority shot list and making the decision of what's important, when and where, and it changes constantly.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, because if I'm going to focus on one or the other, they'll be great. If I have to focus on both, they're both going to be mediocre. It's just like you can't be great at all of it all at once.
It's very difficult, and it's good for people to know that. Like, you have to give yourself some grace if you're out there trying to start your own YouTube channel or Instagram, effort, and you're trying to do drone and stills and video. It can be done if you slow way down.
Yeah.
But you have to slow down so far that you're actually able to dedicate enough time to each one.
Yeah.
And most people can't do that. Most
No.
people can't travel at that pace.
No. And we filmed, so Ashley and I filmed our own travels through the creator series, which is going to be on Expedition Portal now. And it's 12 episodes from us shipping our truck to England, making our way down to Morocco, through Europe, the Balkans, across Turkey, and into Central Asia. And if somebody watches it, they'll be like, oh, that's a nice, 12-week trip you went on, because all I could do, you can just show snippets of your life.
Sure.
Otherwise, you will film so often and so much. It's just so much work.
So those that are listening and watching the podcast, you can actually see when we hop out of the truck and go to the Tropic of Capricorn here in the Milestones Expedition series. That'll be on the Overland YouTube channel. And that follows the team's drive around the world. So 100 plus days crossing North America, crossing Europe. And then what Richard and I just did together with the team, driving down the length of West Africa, which was one of the most ambitious expeditions to date for Overland, and we learned a lot along the way.
Yeah, so it was a quick one.
Yeah, so you can see what we experienced in that journey on the upcoming series that's going to be launching.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit now. Let's kind of pivot towards some of the other lessons that you've learned along the way with your travels. One of the things that I respect also so much about Ashley and you is that you guys have never let gear or pretty much anything stand in the way of going. You'll go with less money. You'll go with maybe the not the perfect car or not the perfect setup or whatever. And
that's an opinion, Scott. That's an opinion. But yes, please continue.
Yeah. You went with what you had,
Yeah.
or you went with what was available, but the goal was to go, and that's something we talk about a lot in the podcast. Is the most important thing is to go. So talk through how you guys came to that decision, not once but twice, with the red truck and then with the Tundra.
Sure.
To just say, traveling is more important than the things. How did you guys arrive at that?
So, for sure, for us, whether we're backpacking or overlanding, the travel is the most important part about what we do. And I mostly just don't want gear to get in my way. I hate the complication. I hate setting things up. I hate taking time to set up camp in any way, shape, or form.
Sure.
That's changed over the years because when we first started, we traveled in our little 1990 Toyota pickup with a soft shell rooftop tent, and over 400 nights in that tent. If you do the math, we spent 24 hours over a year and a half setting up and tearing down that tent.
Sure.
So maybe it was from that experience where we learned that, yeah, having gear get in our way was not the best way of going about it, but also it was our only option. We didn't know any better. So that's what we used. And eventually, living and traveling full time out of our little mini truck, we realized that as we combined that with working from the road, we wanted to have something with some indoor living space, with a bed that's already always set up, that we don't have to like move the bed out of the way to get to the kitchen. We don't have to move the bed out of the way to get to a table and chair or to the dinette.
Sure.
And we always just had visions of little 70 series Land Cruiser and a little like Euro camper or pop top of some flavor. And just when we started looking for vehicles, there's just not a lot of options. Like for a 70 series, you're either buying a right-hand drive vehicle or you have all the additional cost of getting one elsewhere and outfitting it in like the Arabian Peninsula or shipping it home, or you're buying one in North America that somebody's already done that with, and it gets very pricey very quickly. And the whole time we had our 2008 Toyota Tundra sitting in our proverbial driveway, air conditioning, 5.7 liter, lots of power, very comfortable, decent enough payload for putting a light camper in the back. And that's the decision we made, because it was a truck we spent $16,000 on 7 years ago.
Amazing.
Made it a lot easier to make that decision.
Yeah, it was paid off, ready to go.
Yep, exactly. So, and I knew that, I at least for that time period, I knew what the maintenance was like. I knew where the brakes were at, what the suspension was up to. I knew all of that. And yeah, we made the decision to go with an Overland Explorer vehicles, flatbed camper, and then just took as many of the additional things out of it, like a water heater. We took that rear drawer out of our MITS alloy tray to save weight. We took back seat out of the truck. I put a lithium starting battery in the truck just to cut as much weight as possible and just minimize the things that we were bringing with us.
It's surprising what a tailgate weighs,
Yeah.
or what a back seat weighs, and you pull those things out of the truck and you get that back.
Yeah, 100 pounds at a time.
Usable payload. Yeah.
Exactly. So once again, we took something we already had, and by doing that, we were able to get on the road within 3 months of making that decision again.
Sure.
And left Canada, went through the States, down to Texas, shipped it to England. Like I said, we made it all the way down to Northern Africa and all the way over. It's in Almaty, Kazakhstan at the moment. 60,000-ish kilometers into that trip, and just keeps going. And anytime we've ever needed parts for it, they've been at the Toyota dealer, because that truck shares so many pieces with a 200 series Land Cruiser, which is
Sure.
everywhere.
And super robust to begin with.
Agreed. Yeah.
I mean, that engine alone is known for its reliability. It's not the most fuel efficient, but
It is certainly not.
it's definitely known for its reliability. And you know, for you guys, I remember you were up in the northern part of the UK in pretty poor weather, and you guys were able to work from the road. You had Starlink, and
Yeah.
you could rock up for a couple days and get some work done.
If we were in Scotland, days at a time when it's raining, and if it wasn't raining, the midges were out. So we spent lots of time inside just getting work done, whether it's editing photos or actually writing, and having the inside living space, which is a home, which is comfortable, and being able to just like thrive instead of just survive, which would have been if we had a rooftop tent.
Sure.
Means that we could slow down and wait out weather and just hang out in one spot, not spend money on fuel just trying to escape the weather.
So looking
Good
back
choice.
at your 1990 pickup,
Yeah.
what were a couple of the things that you did to that vehicle in version 1.0 that kind of persisted in your future builds? Like some things you thought you did well in that one.
That's a good question. Drivetrain stayed stock. I think that's the biggest thing, because that little 22 RE can live at wide open throttle all day long in whatever temperature, whatever the grade is, and it's certainly not fast, but never once did I ever see that like thermostat, like the temperature of that engine, like never, the needle just never moved.
Sure.
Not once. It just it just works. Let it sit for 6 months, come back, fire it up, do an oil change, continue on.
Yep.
And we've left that in Costa Rica for a year once when we came home to make some money, and it routinely gets left at in Calgary for 6 months at a time, 8 months at a time, and go back to it, and it works. But that's, like I said, drivetrain is stock, all of like the basic.
And is it an
mechanical
extended
things.
cab 6-foot bed, or is it a regular
Yep,
cab?
extended cab, 6-foot bed.
So you got a little bit of storage behind the front seats.
Yep, and I just put a alu box in the back. I took the back seat out, which was not really a back seat anyways.
A
It's just like
vestigial seat, yeah.
Well, yeah, one piece of foam, and then just have a little lockbox back there, and that's pretty much all that has stayed the same. Because when we came home after our Pan American trip, I put like a Long Range America, like 33-gallon tank in it. I did a Total Chaos long travel. I had to put a Go Fast camper on it and outfitted the interior with goose gear, and it is like my favorite truck to drive in like southwest of the U.S. or Baja and all the back roads of BC. It's the perfect like week to 3 week long vehicle, or vehicle to travel out of for like 1 to 3 weeks.
And did you end up putting a locker in the rear?
It has a limited slip in the rear.
Limited slip?
Yeah, and that was me. That wasn't for the Pan American. I not once needed a locker or limited slip. It was only when we got back and we were in the snow all the time.
Sure.
In the winter, it was very, very helpful.
Thanks to Hankook Dynapro Tire for supporting this week's podcast. Head over to expeditionportal.com and join us as we take a closer look at an impressive Jeep Gladiator build from the Jeep Invasion event and explore the mountain terrain around Pigeon Forge, Tennessee.
Tell me what's been your experience with the Go Fast campers? I've never owned one, but they're really intriguing to me. I think it's just such a neat company, all of this stuff's made in the USA. They pay their employees properly.
Mm-hmm.
They have a good reputation. What has it been like to kind of live out of or do longer travel out of such a lightweight wedge style camper?
Yeah, I think my favorite thing about it, because we've had one on the Tundra and we currently have one on the mini truck, and I love that they're fairly inexpensive for what they are, and they're very simple, and I haven't had any issues with. It just works. It's the same thing it's exactly the same as a mini truck. Super simple, but it works every time.
Yeah.
It's like the key for me. And yeah, traveling out of it long term, I think in like inclement weather, because like if it was one person, it's easy. If it's two people, it's doable. If it's any more than that,
Forget it.
it's a little too small.
Yeah, sure.
But like I said, if you're like, I think for Southern Africa, I think for Northern Africa, I think for Southwest
Like
of
the
US
three season kind
exactly.
of
Like
conditions.
if you're dealing with rain once every 10 days, if that, and if you're mostly in warm temperatures, I think it's a great option for living outside 80% of the time.
Sure.
And actually like being like experiencing where you are. I think they do a really good job of building something that's meant to like be comfortable enough when you camped that camping isn't wearing you out, but it still forces you to live outside in a good way.
Yeah, one of the things that I noticed about the Overland Explorer vehicles campers was the quality of construction. The metal panels and how they're bent and assembled. It seems like it is made to endure a lot of long-term use, and also, even though it's a pop top, to be as close to 4 seasons as you can get.
Yeah.
How is that working for you?
Yeah, I think it's funny, like when you compare like the Overland Explorer vehicles campers to like a lot of the European ones. The European ones are very homey feeling. They've got the wood trim,
Sure.
and the wood floors and everything, whereas the OEV campers are a little bit more clinical. Like you said, powder coat aluminum panels, and so on. But they do have like the bamboo countertops and tabletop and so on. But because of that, ours still looks brand new after a few years of use. And like I said, 60,000 kilometers of travel. I think we have 800 nights in it, so those aren't rookie numbers.
That's amazing. And the cool thing about a truck camper like that, especially one that's high quality, is if you decide you want a different truck, like maybe you want a newer Tundra or whatever, you just throw on another tray bed and off you go.
Yep, exactly. And but yeah, it's been really good. Like you said, it's like a 3.5 season camper, let's say, because the pop top canvas is really thick and insulated, and that's also been good. We haven't had any issues with water or dust or any of that. Just requires a respray every year or so of water repellent.
Okay, so it uses a DWR
Yeah.
on the outside of the material.
Yeah. But yeah, so far so good, and I've definitely leaned that thing into trees, and it's got plenty of pinstripes now. And but the whole thing has kind of it has a like structure is all aluminum, so it's kind of got a little aluminum exoskeleton that on all the corners,
those
the
reinforced
edges,
corners and stuff.
that
sure.
helps when we're dragging it through trails that are a little bit too small.
So let's talk about the travel side of it now. What's been your most favorite area that you have explored? I've asked Ashley the same question, but
Pamir Highway.
Okay,
But it
that's
was
most recently.
It was the most recent thing we did. It was the main goal from the start of like this trip. It's been 3 years. Was to get to Central Asia, and when you're in Central Asia, the Pamir Highway is the route to do. I just love that it's like 1,300 kilometers from Dushanbe to Osh, and skirts along the border of Afghanistan. You kind of sneak away from the city and you see what life is. It feels like you've gone back in time, seeing what's
Felt very medieval to me, like the Yamshun Fortress and
that whole Wakhan Valley.
The Wakhan corridor was incredible. Yeah.
And so
Does that still require a special visa for that?
yes, yeah, you need to have a permit through it's the Gabao permit, I believe, for the eastern side of Tajikistan. Yeah, but so it's complicated enough to get there. Like it took us 50,000 kilometers to get there, and then you're far enough from all the major centers, so it feels like you're like remote, quote unquote remote. But there's so many people around still that you can still have all those cultural experiences.
Sure.
The food and just the conversations, and it's like watching how they farm. And it was harvest season when we were there, and you combine all of that with the fact that it's like the worst roads I've ever driven, and it's not like it's a technical 4x4 trail. It's just it's a highway.
Yeah.
It's just old Soviet era concrete, which is full of potholes now.
And almost every bridge is washed out now.
Every bridge is washed out, and and if you don't have any of those issues, you're on some brutal corrugations.
Yeah.
So, a lot of it is just enduring the slow pace. But we took 2 weeks to do it, and
But those
had a wonderful
mountains,
time.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, with the Hindu Kush in the background. I don't know. It was one of the most rewarding trips we had, or even sections of trips that we had done, and I don't exactly know why. It's for those reasons plus something that's not tangible.
And it's historically significant. You think about like who was the first celebrity traveler? Marco Polo, right? And that like he wrote extensively about that region. In fact, it was his like detailed descriptions of the sheep of the area that lent a lot more credibility to his travels.
Yeah.
It's now called the Marco Polo sheep.
Yeah.
So
Still see them out there.
Yeah, you can see that. It's so steeped in history, from the Silk Road to the Crusades to just the modern day shift from those being Soviet bloc satellite states or countries to being now independent, and Kazakhstan's got one of the model democracies in the region, and like so much has changed.
Yeah, and then so much is changing still on the west side. So like from Dushanbe, you start driving the highway, like I think it's M41, Mir Highway, and it has beautiful pavement now, which is done by a lot of Chinese construction crews, and they're also building like electric car charging stations. So things are changing fast, and
You got one coming, guys. One coming.
I felt like we're very fortunate to do it when we did it, because
Yes.
eventually it will all be paved.
Red Hilux is passing you now. All clear.
Yeah, you're all clear.
There we go. Yeah, so we're doing some passing. I'm driving on the left side of the car, on the left side of the road. So Richard is actually responsible for the decision of passing or not.
Yeah. Thankfully, we also have Kurt up a
Yeah.
few hundred meters, keeping an eye on what's going on. So
It's not every day you get to have a professional driver in the lead vehicle calling everything out for you.
I like it. But yeah, so I think Pamir was a highlight, and as we head farther and farther east, it feels like, I don't know, it's pretty exciting. So far from home.
Yeah. And it's so uniquely different, and even the food, I remember it's like we hear it like a rice pilaf, but they call it plov in the
Yeah.
region. And like at first I didn't care for it as much because the muttony flavor of the goat or the sheep, but by the end of the trip I was craving it.
Yeah, and logman noodles is like the hand-pulled logman noodles is like one of my favorite things.
So good.
Yeah, we went out for it was Ashley asked, okay, it's your birthday coming up. What do you want to do for your birthday meal? I'm like, logman noodles. She's like, these are the cheapest things available. Like, do you want to do anything else? I'm like, nope.
That's
So
what I want.
delicious.
That's what I
It's
want.
available everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, it really is a special part of the world, and surprisingly, it's like it is certainly traveled, but
Yeah,
I'm surprised with like the challenges that Africa's had, and some of the things even in South America, or how done South America is,
yeah.
that the Silk Road isn't more popular than it is.
And it's like, other than needing to transit through Russia, it's very straightforward. Especially after, so comparing it to West Africa, where we've had to get visas over and over and over and over again, into the embassy, out of an embassy, sticker visa, like back and forth.
Yep.
When for us to travel from this year, we traveled from Greece to Almaty, and the only difficult section, and by difficult I mean just bureaucratically, was that drive through Russia for 3 days from Georgia to Kazakhstan. And it was only because we had to go to Tbilisi, Georgia, get a visa for a transit,
And you went to the embassy for
yeah,
that?
there's a visa center. Yeah,
Nice.
Russian visa center, and it was nice, straightforward. Go through Russia. There's no GPS because it's all jammed. There's no internet. There's no cell phone coverage, so you're kind of just driving via offline maps. And so, but you go the wrong way, and somebody helps you out and figure it out. That one little section was the only thing that was difficult. The rest of that trip was very straightforward.
And they're so hospitable, kind.
Yeah. Like, we had people pulling us over in Kazakhstan and giving us watermelons.
Yeah.
They're like, "Are you really from Canada?" Because we have a little Canadian flag on the back of our truck. Yeah, yeah. Have our melon. Have my melon. Have this. Have that. I'm like, no, that's okay.
They're so generous.
Yeah, they're wonderful. And then, in regards to the tundra fuel economy, the fuel in Kazakhstan is very cheap. So, yeah, I forgot all that.
I remember I was somewhere in Uzbekistan. We were having dinner, and I'm trying to communicate with the proprietor of the restaurant, like, is there a hotel in the area? And he was making all these like gestures that made me think like, oh, maybe it's not safe here, maybe we shouldn't be staying here. But what he was trying to communicate, and eventually got through to me, was like, no, there's not really any hotels here, but we want you just to sleep here in the restaurant. So they let us sleep in the booth, because you're kind of in a semi-recline, kind of casual eating situation. So Charlie and we just like crashed out in the booth of the restaurant.
So fun.
And then they would not take any money. They just like, and several of them slept there probably because they were keeping an eye on us.
Yep.
And then the next morning I woke up and their Lada sedan had a flat tire. So I was able to like break out my tire repair kit and the compressor and fix their tire for them, and they thought that was awesome.
I love it.
Like, those little interchanges happen throughout Central Asia because it's just such a deep part of their culture.
Yep.
Is being hospitable and opening up their homes and welcoming travelers.
Yeah.
It's part of their belief system. So
Yeah. When we were in Almaty, where we left the truck, we had a 30-minute drive to the airport via the Yandex. So it's like Uber, but it's like a Russian company. And we got to the airport, or I got to the airport, and the driver wouldn't accept any money. He's like, "No, you're a guest in our country." I was like, "Isn't this
Isn't this your
company,
job?
isn't this job based on tourism? Like, it seems like you wouldn't be charging anybody." So of course, like, okay. Eventually, he was like, "Yeah, of course." He accepted money, and it was fine. Partially because it was on an app when he couldn't give the money back.
Right.
But which is great. But yeah, people were absolutely wonderful.
And of those countries, which one was your favorite?
So I love the food in Kazakhstan, and like the Mangostau Desert in Kazakhstan was wonderful. Tajikistan was a highlight through the Pamir Highway, and we were I don't know, Uzbekistan with all the history and like
So much
architecture.
history. Like the foundation of mathematics and stuff. I mean, just
Yeah,
rad.
so
Rad.
cool. And then we didn't have an opportunity to spend too much time in Kyrgyzstan, but that's what this spring/summer will be for. We hiking in the mountains there. So I don't know. They all have their attributes that are worthy of spending time experiencing.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
amazing.
So no favorite. I love the whole region. Pretty good.
Yeah, it really is. So now you've got an interesting decision point. Like, where do you go from here? And we don't need to have any spoilers on the show, but
It would be a spoiler for me too. I don't know where we're going.
because you could continue to go east and into Mongolia and then into China, or you could drop back into the Arabian Peninsula, or you could go into Africa. There's so much that you can do from that point. And if you think about it, it makes sense. That was the Silk Road. That was the spice trade. That was like, you can reach all of Eurasia from that one point where you were at.
Hankook Dynapro Tire welcomes you to visit expeditionportal.com and enjoy a series of adventures from the Jeep Beach event in Florida, the Bronco Stampede and Jeep Invasion in Tennessee, and the Off-Road Expo in California. Thanks, Hankook.
Originally, the thought process we had years ago, the plan was leave Canada, ship to England, drive to Vladivostok, get to Japan, ship home. But now that we're getting so close, we're like, we don't want this to end. So the one thought is up through like Altai region of Russia, Mongolia, back down to China, Pakistan, maybe Oman from there. So like big loop. Maybe go to Japan and South Korea.
That'd be
and
amazing.
Then home. That's also an option.
That would be amazing.
We have friends that just made their way to Laos. We know that there's a way through Vietnam and east home from there. But things are changing constantly. So we just hold everything quite loosely. And
even on this trip, one of the countries we went through, they just had a military coup.
yeah, and the countries that we went through, like weeks before we got there, they were all having elections, which was also
very contentious.
Yep, all sorts of turmoil. So yeah, hold everything loosely, and we kind of go. We generally try to go east, but at some point we might end up going west again. And Arabian Peninsula is always high on the list. East Africa is always high on the list. And one of the things that we have learned over time, and especially while working on the road or working remotely and for different projects, is that we do best when we travel in 3 to 6 month increments, and then work on another project or go home, just have a little bit of an ability to digest what we've experienced over those 3 or 6 months, and then come back fresh. Because if we were just doing it all in one shot, it would just become overwhelming.
Yeah, same for me. I couldn't do the homeless overlanding where you just never return.
Yeah.
Like, I like to travel for 2 to 3 months and then be home for 6 months or so and then do it again.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like, I feel like if we're traveling quickly, 2 or 3 months is good. If we're traveling slowly, up to 6. But it depends where we are and what we're doing. And yeah, and usually by month 4, usually is when both Asher and I are like, okay, we need a break. We can do like stay in one place for a week and just kind of reset, or we have to start thinking about getting out of here for a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to do a little lightning round because we don't talk about gear a lot on this on this podcast, but because you have so much time using this stuff for months or years on end,
Yep.
And you've really refined your approach, I'm going to kind of ask you some questions around different systems in the vehicle.
All right.
So currently, kind of what's your go-to like size or brand of tire and wheel?
Okay, so on the pickup, I've got a 285, 75, 16 Toyo RT Trail, so kind of their hybrid tire. That truck has always had that tire size, always a 33. And the Tundra has a 35, 1250, 17, except actually now it's got a 30 or 315, 75, 17, sorry. Only because that's all that was available in Georgia
Sure.
at the time. But that truck's really good on a 35, 1250.
It's big truck.
Yeah, and I've been proponent of all-terrains for forever. I feel like they're usually the best bet because we're in and out of all sorts of weather and snow. Snow makes all the difference in the world.
Wet pavement.
Exactly. But then I have Maxxis Razor MTs I bought on the Tundra, and I actually really like them.
Yeah.
Like that's what we've been running all through Central Asia, and man, they wear out fast on the hot, fast, straight highways of Kazakhstan. But throughout Pamir, I actually
known
quite
to be
like
pretty
them.
durable. Yeah. Pretty
so,
durable.
So that's not really
What's
helpful.
your favorite suspension at the moment?
I'm really liking our BP51s on
Yeah.
our BP51s on the
Internal
Tundra.
bypass, with that doesn't make a bunch of noise.
No, and adjustable compression and rebound.
Yep.
So that works out really well on the Tundra. I might put MT64s on it if I was doing it again. Just try them out.
Super simple.
I like the fact of not doing maintenance on things.
Yep.
Because I do a lot of that on the mini truck. So yeah,
That makes sense. And then how do you handle fuel storage? Like, how do you handle range in your Tundra?
So since I hate jerry cans and I hate fuel bladders, I just spent more money instead. I put a transfer flow 46-gallon main replacement tank in the Tundra. So that is probably
That's perfect.
it's one of my favorite modifications we did because we got up to 1,000 kilometers of range now, and we can skip gas stations at will, whether I'm just lazy and don't want to fill up, or whether we fill up somewhere where the fuel's inexpensive and we can make our way through a whole country without having to put in expensive fuel.
Yeah, and I think that for an expedition vehicle, when you're truly going remote, or like you guys are going through Central Asia, which is very remote, unpredictable, I think 1,000 kilometers of range is key. I mean, we've had countries where we haven't been able to get benzene or unleaded here in West Africa, so it was a good thing we had the range that we did.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's a really good solution.
And the mini truck has a 33-gallon tank as well. I got from a Long Range America.
Oh, that's nice.
But same thing, main replacement tank, just
keep it simple.
Yep. And then my favorite thing about the Tundra one is just like the stock fuel pump and sender just bolts in. Everything just clips together. Comes with a secondary, what do we call it? The evap canister.
Sure.
So everything's
all works.
All works.
And then, what are you finding that you like for recovery? What's your recovery kit like on the Tundra?
I have MaxTrax minis and a couple of shackles and a recovery strap, like a kinetic recovery strap, and that's it.
I think it's good for people to know that you chose to not have a winch. It adds a lot of weight.
It's a lot. So I had a 10,000-pound Warren winch sitting on a shelf, and just chose not to use it because 70 pounds, 80 pounds.
Yeah.
And then by not using it, I could use a lithium starting battery. That saved 50 pounds as well off the front end. And would, full-size MaxTrax be a better option for the full-size truck? Yes. But, oh man, those minis get a workout. Plus, they're using for leveling.
Yeah, every day.
Yep. But
and then you have a way to get, to work with another vehicle local, or to extract a local.
Yep.
With
exactly.
your recovery kit.
I have, knock on wood, we haven't touched the recovery strap. MaxTrax gets used pretty commonly, but
and how many of the minis did you bring?
Four.
So then you could really get like the equivalent of two.
Yep.
On one end of the truck, whatever end is stuck the most.
Exactly, and and it's good. Like I can always air down a lot because we have, AirB twin air compressor, and I put an AirB air locker in the back too. So when things are getting a little bit squirrely, when you
They're on the right.
like if I have to engage the air locker, I know I should turn around,
Yeah,
essentially.
that's right. You're going to use the locker to get turned around and then go back out.
Yeah, exactly. I
Makes
think
sense.
just like I'm very conservative when it comes to risk with that sort of thing. So
Well, you have your home with you, and you're just one vehicle.
yep. And sometimes we are out there. So we did Vashlavani National Park along the border of Azerbaijan and Georgia, and if something goes wrong, there are ranger stations along the way, but that could be up to 100 kilometers away at times. That's a long way to walk.
It's a long way.
So and we saw 5 vehicles on that route over 450 kilometers. So yeah, out there by ourselves for long periods of time.
And what are you guys using for communication? How do you communicate in the backcountry?
Yeah, so we have Starlink. Starlink has worked everywhere we've gone except for Turkey and Russia. And we also have an inReach, an old DeLorme inReach that
Sure.
that's always uses backup or when we're backpacking. And that is it. Yeah, the Starlink is a game changer though, in terms of feeling comfortable being way out by ourselves, because you can always text family, you can always look up any problems you're having with a vehicle, or if we have any issues with any components, like, oh, find an instruction manual, download it, troubleshoot.
Or if the weather's bad, you can sit and watch a movie.
We watch a surprising amount of Netflix, that's for sure.
Yeah. That's perfect.
Yeah. I think the thing is, like, when the weather's bad or it's cold or you're uncomfortable, or if, like recently I had a mouse get into the wiring for the knock sensor wiring harness and chewed up the knock sensor wiring harness in the tundra. And I could worry about it, or I could just like relax, watch some Netflix, chill out, and then solve the problem the next day.
Sure.
So
Make some tea.
yeah, have a tea or a beer or a coffee, and
Yep.
come up with a game plan, make some calls, send an email about parts availability, and go from there.
So if you were to look back and you were able to sit down with your 30-year-old self at the start of all these journeys and give yourself some advice, what would be some advice that you would give yourself or give some other traveler that's new to wanting to go see the world?
That's a good question. We were really lucky in that we were like financially able to make it happen, and that we had like support from our families and friends and all the rest of it. Because without that, it would be very, very hard, I think. I think it's hard to go. It's hard to take the step and leave. And that became very evident the second time we left, because the first time we didn't know anything. It was a lot easier.
Sure.
You don't know all the problems that you can have
Or what you need even.
what you need. Like, you just bring what you have and you go. And the second time, 10 years later, another big trip, we're second guessing. We're like, oh, should we be doing this now? Should we be spending time with our family or parents while they're healthy? Should we go now while they're healthy?
Sure.
And then at least like at some point in the future, we'll have time to spend time with them and like help them when they get older. So like all of these like random things are going through our mind, and for me, my favorite thing that we have done that actually helps us keep going is by not proclaiming any big goals. Because
You
like
leave yourself options.
yeah, like if we were like, oh, we're gonna drive around the world, and we're like, oh, like at some point we're like, what happens if we want to stop?
Yeah.
Or what happens if we want to make a left turn instead of a right, or turn around, or go south instead of east? So doing it for ourselves, being happy with what we're doing without any obligations, is I don't know. I think that is
It's a lot
been
of
the most
freedom.
helpful for us.
It's a lot of freedom.
Yeah. You don't have to go on a big trip. It doesn't have to take a year. You don't want to. It's, I don't know. I think for us, we just did it and did it our own way, and we're happy with it. So I don't know. I don't think I have any regrets or decisions the way we did it, but it certainly doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah, but I think that's the key lesson that you guys have been able, both of you, is just not to hold expectations too tightly. To let yourselves be flexible as your careers develop, as opportunities come up.
Yeah. And even with so we're on an expedition overland trip right now, it's been 2.5 months, and I remember when Clay called me back 2016, I think 2016, after Ashton had done our Pan American trip, and he asked if I wanted to photograph their Pan American trip, and I was like, no, thank you, because I didn't want to do a trip in 12 weeks that took us 18 months. I just didn't I didn't feel like it aligned with what I loved about the travel.
Sure.
And then, but because I'm allowed to change my mind, next time he asked, I said yes, because I was like, okay, there are benefits to both ways. A, I can get paid to do something I love. And B, I can learn what it's like to travel fast with a team, with multiple people, with multiple vehicles.
And they use a lot of new, kind of bleeding edge technology.
Yeah.
Like, oh, actually, I really like this solution or that solution.
Exactly. So I gave myself the freedom to say no the first time and yes the second time.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And yeah, it's fantastic. And that's been years now.
So just looking at the fact that we just crossed the Tropic of Capricorn on this podcast, and we're moving our way down towards Cape Town and Cape Agulhas and the southernmost point of Africa. What do you think are some of your personal takeaways from, because you've been on all of this 25,000-mile expedition?
No, just from Nordkap down to
Nordkap down. So you did the European leg and then this segment.
Yeah. This will be my I think South Africa will be my 39th country this year. My passport's getting a workout. Feeling tired.
Well, and you guys have been all the way up to Tuck, so you'll have also, when you reach Cape Agulhas, you'll have completed a circumnavigation of the planet on the latitudes, wouldn't you have?
Yeah, it's close, I think. Yeah, I don't know.
I would think so.
Yeah, a lot of it. Yeah, it's weird.
Maybe not the Antarctica portion.
Yeah,
but
I think takeaway. You're looking for takeaways. I think that there's without the if this trip didn't happen, I would have no idea. I would have no idea whatsoever what West Africa was like, and I appreciate that even though we did it fast, even though we didn't get to stop and see or do the things that I normally would have wanted to, at least I got a taste of what the region's like. And as usual, it's not as scary as
not at
people
all.
make it out to be.
Not at all.
I never once felt like we were in danger or somebody wanted something from us that was an uncomfortable situation. Some of the roads were bad, but we didn't need to air down for main highways. They were just slow sometimes when they were rutted out.
But then we also had the Congo where it was like a brand new road, the whole length. I would have never imagined you could just bomb through the Congo at 100 kilometers an hour, which, because the road was so good, we were able to do a detour and go spend some time with the gorillas. It was amazing.
Yeah, 100%.
It was amazing.
That's definitely a highlight, for sure. Yeah, I think that's
Mauritania was a highlight for me.
I love North Africa. But then after doing West Africa, we end up in Angola and Namibia, and I love this vacation that we're on now.
So good.
So good. Yeah, I think my favorite thing about West Africa is that if you're coming from Europe, what a treat it would be to exit your
just go
go do it, experience it, and then you have all of South Africa and Southern Africa and Eastern Africa to go explore.
Yeah. Leave your car down there for a couple of years and then send it back.
Yeah. So yeah, it's it's been a long trip, but some huge highlights along the way, or like the train route
Amazing.
In Mauritania, and spending some time in Chinguetti. Wonderful. Yeah, there's some good ones.
Well, Richard, it's been such a joy to travel with you. I've always had such tremendous respect for Ashley and you as travelers and as professionals in the industry. You guys have done so much to elevate overlanding, and you always spread the message of that this is possible for anyone, or just about anyone. And you break down a lot of those barriers. You don't focus on the clickbait, dangers that people like to focus on, because that really isn't the reality of
No.
overlanding. It's people are generally good around the world.
Yeah. If you go into it with a open heart, open attitude, and with a good attitude, you'll probably get the same thing back.
Yeah, surprisingly.
Surprising.
Isn't that shocking?
It works at home too. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, exactly. Works everywhere.
Yeah. So,
Well, thank
very
you,
much.
Richard, so much for being on the podcast
Thank
with
you.
me today, and for being such a great travel companion down
Yeah.
West Africa. And we thank you all for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.